Hi, my name is Callum Harvey and I am the composer for the new song of the Get Dancing project, The Blackpool Way. As with all dances, the music is arguably just as important as the choreography itself. So I was faced with the challenge: how could I compose a piece of music that both captured Blackpool's legacy, but with a modern twist appropriate for a contemporary audience? Luckily, our friends at Showtown had access to a wealth of written sheet music from across the eras, which was a goldmine of inspiration. During my research in the archives, one artist particularly stood out, a gentleman called Lawrence Wright, who also went by the alias Horatio Nichols. Now, Lawrence Wright was a musician, showman and band leader born in 1888 who rose to fame through his pioneering approach to composing music for dance. In the 1920s, he fell in love with the Blackpool community and established the song booths where passers-by could pop in and sing along with the new latest tunes. Not only did Wright present new music for Blackpool, but he let Blackpool inspire his own music writing, and one song to come out of this new exciting format was a song called The Blackpool Walk. This song is catchy, fun, and most importantly, community focused. The craze of novelty dance has since re-emerged in the past 2 or 3 years with apps like Vine, TikTok, Snapchat and Instagram Reels, so what better time for us to be able to dig into the Blackpool roots and get the community dancing. When I heard the recording of this song, I knew it was something that I wanted to build my new composition around, and so the project began of transforming a 1920s novelty swing into a modern pop hit. So without further ado, let's get into the studio and dig into the sampling, the composition and the production of the song The Blackpool Way. So when we're sampling, when we're looking at old songs for inspiration and chopping it into bits that we want to use in a modern production, we have to get the audio file of the original recording. So what I have here is a recording of the Blackpool Walk sung by Al Bowley, and it sounds a little bit like this. So immediately we're transformed, we're transported to the 1940s where we've got that real nice house band swing coming out of these ballrooms, out of these song rooms. I almost feel like I'm in Blackpool listening to this song now. And if I just skip forward a little bit to the actual chorus where it's sung, you might recognise this from the song already.
They're all doing the Blackpool Walk. It's become the whole town's talk. The by Gomez champion is the Blackpool Walk. They're all...
I love that clip. It's so catchy, it's so simple, it mentions Blackpool, it's the Blackpool Walk, and we already know, just by listening to that one segment, we already know what this song's about, what it's going to be, and how it's a real community focus. So I decided that that's the clip that I want to use for the Blackpool Way. Now, once we've decided on the clip that we want to use, we then have to think about, okay, how do I want to produce this so it sounds good enough for a modern pop song? You know, I'm going to do things like move up the tempo of that sample, change the key maybe put some effects on there that make it a little bit more exciting. So what I'm going to do here, as you can see, I've already kind of pre-chopped it based on the waveform, so we can make sure that this is the clip that we want to use. This is the clip of the Blackpool Walk there. So I'm going to delete the other bits that I don't want to use anymore, just so I have this one section here.
They're all doing the Blackpool Walk.
Now, the problem I have here is that it's a little bit slow. That doesn't really make me want to get dancing. I kind of feel myself just moving along in my chair a little bit. I'm not necessarily wanting to get up and do some choreographed dance. So the first port of call for me will be to make this faster. So what I'm going to do is, because it's an audio file, it gets a little bit complicated. So I'm going to go into a function here called flex time. This is in Logic Pro. So I'm going to do flex time. I'm going to change it to polyphonic there. What that's going to do is that when the tempo is changed of the project, as you can see up here, it's 86 BPM. If I push that project up, the sample is going to move, it's going to get faster with the tempo of the project when I change it. So I'm going to put this up to 98 here. So if I play this now at 98 BPM, you're going to hear it's a little bit faster.
They're all doing the Blackpool Walk. It's become the whole town's talk. Levi Gomez champion is the Blackpool Walk. They're all...
So already that's a lot faster, that's a lot more catchy. I feel like that's something I could probably use a bit more. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this into another line which has got something called a pitch shifter on it. So if I just duplicate the waveform onto the pitch shifted line here, what you're going to hear is, because this is pitch shifted up 12 semitones, it's an octave higher, it's going to sound quite robotic, it's going to sound quite chipmunky, and it's going to make quite a nice layer to add on top of the pre-recorded Blackpool Walk sample we have already. This sounds like this. It's horrible on its own, but if I put that in a layer with the original,
they're all doing the Blackpool Walk. It's become the whole town's talk.
Sounds a lot more interesting. We've got the body of the original recording plus the chipmunky sound of the production there. So that sounds great for me. Now, what I'm going to do next is we're going to want to do maybe some chops, some stuttering, some extra rhythmic changes to this as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop it here on the word all. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the word all. So I'm going to make this, so I've chopped that bit out, I'm going to duplicate it here, and what we'll get is this. Already it's like, oh, it's stuttering, it's jarring, but it's still catchy. So we get that real rhythmic catchiness coming from the chopping as well. So there we have a usable sample. We've taken a sample from the original recording and made it a little bit more interesting and usable for a pre-recorded, for the production of a new song. So once you've decided on the sample that you want to use, it's time to build the song. So what we're going to do here, we're going to look through some of the sampling that I've done here. I've done some extra bits as well, a bit of production to make the sample sound excellent. So that sounds nice, but it's time to put in a beat. We need some kicks, we need some snares and claps to really make it modern and make it really exciting. So here we go, I'm going to add in some drums, some kicks and some claps here. Here we go. And once you've got the kicks and the snares down, it's free reign to do whatever else you want. If you want to add some extra interest, maybe some hi-hats, maybe some shakers, maybe some extra samples. I've got a jungle beat sample, I've got some swing hats. And once you put all of these in, it'll make a really exciting, interesting beat that we can build everything else upon. So here we go. Here is my full beat along with the sample. I love that beat, that's really energetic, but now it's time to put in a bass line. So here we go, I've got a nice little monster bass line here. I'm going to record this as we listen. Here we go. Bassline is done. So once you have your sample, your beats and your bass lines together, it's time to get really creative and see how we can lift it to another level using maybe some extra effects, some extra keys, maybe some brass. So we're going to build up from there now. So I've got another little section here where I've added some effects. These are vocal chops, they are vinyl disc rewind sounds, just adding in an extra little bit of rhythm that I think would help the track. So here's how this sounds. Another thing I would choose to do sometimes is I would double up the keys line, so you might want to add an extra piano in there. The sample doesn't have a lot of definition, so we're going to have to redo a lot of the elements of that. So I had a lot of fun here recording my family piano, which sounds like this on its own. This was very fun to do. So that's the piano sound, and then you might want to add in some extra bits like some extra guitars or extra singing items or things like that. But one thing that really stands out on the Blackpool Way for me is the brass section. So if I solo the brass section, this is what really wants to get people up and dancing. This is what helps people connect with the track, and this is what's going to be really catchy as well as the sample. The brass section is going to be powering through. It's going to be bringing some extra melodies, some extra harmonies, and really lifting the track to a real dance piece. So this is how this sounds on its own. So that's the brass on its own. And finally, we've come to the end of it where I'm going to unmute everything so you can hear how it all sounds together. So here we go. This is the Blackpool Way. So there you have it. We have gone on a lightning speed journey of musical history, a rediscovery of Blackpool's legacy of music and dance, and gone from sample to song in my new production of The Blackpool Way. Thank you for watching. I've been Callum Harvey, and I hope this has inspired you to get learning, get creative, and more importantly, get dancing.